Here is yet another Syma X5C motor replacement video. I've got two, and both of them have a bad motor. And I figured, well, rather than tinker around too much, I'll just yank one out and move it over to the one and have one good working copter. And maybe I'll just order up a couple more motors to get the second one working later. So anyway, there's my two copters. The one on the left actually was working up until yesterday, and I think you need to make sure you don't leave it in the don't cut the power when you land in the grass or something, because I think that's probably what it is. So as you see, when I try to lift off, the one motor doesn't want to turn, and it just sort of scoots off here. If you give it enough juice, it'll just scoot off to its left, or its right. And holding it down now. So to show that the motor actually wants to turn, it just doesn't want to turn when it needs to turn. And when we look at the other copter, it actually exhibits very similar symptoms in that it's that was the same motor, as a matter of fact, is the one that doesn't want to turn. So that really, this one is actually worse. It doesn't spin up as well as that other one even. I get the idea. Okay. So there are I've tagged the two bad motors with just some alligator clips, just so I can remember and make sure I don't, once I get it apart and turned around, I don't want to have to think about, well, I wonder which one is which, since I'm going to be desoldering. So in my version of this copter, you got to take out a whole bottom at once. It isn't split into two, and so you've got 6 screws on each leg, and then you have 2 more screws near the battery compartment for a total of 26 on the bottom, I think. And then you got the 4 screws for the props, and that makes about 30, I think 30 screws. The prop screws are a little bit bigger, a little bit different, but you can easily tell them apart. So here's the coming up is this battery compartment screws that I had forgotten. I was trying to wrangle it apart without doing that. And there are the 4 screws that are closest to the center. Those got to come out too, but I think I counted those in the 6 per leg. So I finally got all the screws apart, and you just sort of pry it apart. The plastic is really nice and soft, so it doesn't really have any risk of breaking on you, cracking on you, because it's not very brittle, which is good. So there we have it apart, and we noticed on your right, towards the bottom, there was a clip, and that's the one we need to take off. So using a soldering iron, I just touch the soldering iron on there, and the wires come right off. And making a note of which side the blue is, because it is polarized. And the motor just comes right off. There was no screw holding that in. That's just a random screw sitting there. I'm working on a piece of canvas so they don't roll around too much. So there's all my screws. And now this is the other copter, the broken one. Well, they're both broken, but this is the one I'm going to salvage a motor from. Notice the clip on the bad motor. I don't want to salvage that one, but I do want to salvage a motor that has a red and blue wires, as opposed to I think it's white and black, because they do go different directions, as we know, because props are different and everything. So I'm wrangling this one apart. Probably shouldn't have had this in here. This probably should have been deleted, but anyway, got it apart. And pulling the motor out, red and blue, And what I'm pointing at there is there's a yellow wire out. I don't know if you noticed at the beginning, but one of the LEDs was not firing up on the one. So anyway, I'm wiring in the red and the blue for the new, from the motor that I salvaged. And I'm also going to fix that LED lead that's off. This one here, this came off, and so I only had 3 of the 4 LEDs on the corners working. So get this soldered back on there. I actually went back and fixed that solder joint just because it looked like it was a little loose. Anyway, let's get everything back together here. Plug in or just placing the switch in, or the connector, the power connector, and the switch into place, and then making sure all the wires or the motors are in place and the wires are all out of the way before I snap on the outer cover. So get all the components in place here as they try to wiggle out of my way. And so now I'm going to just plug the battery in and just turn it on just to make sure everything's in order. All the LEDs work. And I'll get a little spin there just to see what happened, and that looked like it worked okay. So just in case. And here I see there's a screw stuck to the motor. Motors have some magnets in them, of course. And so take a look for those if you're getting ready to put yours back together. And pluck them out, and then just click on the top there and reassemble it. And here I'm deciding, I don't remember which motors have which props, so I'm just going to, they're opposite caddy corner, so I'm going to just take a stab at it. It's a 50-50 shot, and plug it in and see if it tries to go up or tries to go down. And as we'll see here shortly, of course, Murphy's Law took a hold, and they were blowing the wrong way. So I had to switch them around. Not a big deal. I hadn't screwed them on or anything, just go ahead and switch them. I'm sure there's a way to look at it and see, but I didn't even take the time. I just figured that it'd just take a few seconds to switch. So now I give her another spin. And worked great, except for one of the props came off. But once I got the props screwed on there, it looks like it's going to fly. So yeah, there you have it. Hope you got some info out of it. I'm sure there's a million other of these motor replacement videos out there that you could be looking at. Thanks for watching mine, and hopefully this is helpful. I tried to include some detail that I didn't see in some of the other videos. So there you have it. And now I got one working quadcopter and this old dead quadcopter, and I'm going to tuck away those screws and buy some more motors and see if I can get this one working. Hope you enjoyed it.